This story is titled, "After driving 6 hours to help my wife's mom move, I lifted her couch alone. My wife snapped, 'If you drop that, I'm divorcing you.' Her mother shouted, 'No pressure, sweetie.' I never thought a couch would be the thing that finally exposed the cracks in my marriage, but here we are. Let me back up a bit, because this whole mess started way before that mahogany leather monstrosity entered the picture. My mother-in-law, Janet, 58F, had been planning to move for about 3 years now. Every holiday dinner, every phone call, every random Tuesday, she'd bring up how she needed to downsize from her 4-bedroom house now that she was alone. My wife, Emma, 32F, would always jump in with suggestions, real estate listings, and offers to help, while I, 34M, sat there knowing damn well Janet would find some reason why this month wasn't the right time. But 2 weeks ago, Janet actually did it. She sold her house. The catch? She had exactly 10 days to move out. Cue the panic calls to Emma at 3 a.m. about how overwhelmed she was, how she couldn't possibly do this alone, how she needed her baby girl to help her through this difficult transition. I swear I could hear the violin music playing in the background. Now, I should mention that Janet lives in Cincinnati and we're in Pittsburgh, not exactly next door. Emma immediately volunteered us for the weekend move without even asking me, because of course she did. That's been our marriage dynamic lately. Emma makes plans with her mom, and I'm just expected to go along with them. Don't get me wrong, I love my wife, but sometimes I feel like I'm married to both her and Janet. The night before we left, I was packing our car with moving supplies when Emma casually mentioned that her brother Kevin, 35M, who lives 15 minutes from Janet, had other commitments that weekend. Translation, he was going to a baseball game with his buddies. But hey, why watch your brother-in-law drive 6 hours to help your mom move when you can watch the Reds lose instead, right? So there we were, leaving at 5 a.m. on a Saturday, coffee thermoses in hand, GPS set to Janet's soon-to-be former house. Emma spent the first 2 hours of the drive listing all the things we needed to help her mom with, while I nodded along, already feeling the familiar tension headache building behind my eyes. The same headache I get every time we deal with Janet. Looking back now, I should have seen the warning signs. The way Janet hugged Emma for a solid 5 minutes when we arrived but barely nodded at me. The way she kept forgetting which boxes I'd already loaded into the truck. The way she insisted her antique couch was priceless and needed special handling. But I didn't know then that this move would turn into some kind of twisted loyalty test, one that would force me to choose between my marriage and my sanity. Janet's new place was a cozy 2-bedroom condo on the 3rd floor. And by cozy, I mean the kind of place where you have to turn sideways to get past the bathroom door. Oh, and did I mention? No elevator. Because why make things easy when you can make them absolutely miserable? The first hour was just Janet micromanaging how I should park the moving truck. A little to the left. No, your other left. Maybe angle it more toward the building. You know what? Let me just call Kevin and ask how he would do it. I bit my tongue so hard I'm surprised it didn't start bleeding. Then came the boxes. Hundreds of them. Each one apparently containing the crown jewels based on how Janet kept hovering over my shoulder. "Oh, sweetie," she'd say to Emma, not even looking at me. "Maybe he should lift with his legs more? That box has my crystal collection." I was lifting with my legs. I've been lifting with my legs since I learned to walk. But sure, Janet, enlighten me. Every trip up those 3 flights of stairs was like running a gauntlet of criticism. Those shoes aren't really appropriate for moving, are they? They were literal work boots. You're breathing awfully heavy there. Maybe you should go to the gym more? I go 5 times a week. Emma, honey, does he always sweat this much? It was 85 degrees and humid, and I was basically doing a CrossFit workout with furniture. Emma, bless her heart, tried to play mediator at first. "Mom, he knows what he's doing," she'd say, but then Janet would make that little huffing sound she does, and Emma would go quiet. I kept reminding myself, this is family, this is temporary, this will end. But man, every time I heard Janet's voice from behind me saying actually, I wanted to drop whatever priceless family heirloom I was carrying and walk straight back to Pittsburgh. The breaking point came around 4 p.m. We'd moved what felt like enough furniture to fill Buckingham Palace, and I was running on fumes and gas station coffee. That's when Janet announced it was time to move her pride and joy, the couch. Not just any couch, a massive leather sectional that probably weighed as much as a small car. Kevin had helped her get it into the old house 5 years ago, but surprise, surprise, he wasn't here now. "It needs to be handled with extreme care," Janet announced. like I'd been juggling her china all day. It's genuine Italian leather, and the frame is solid mahogany. It cost more than your first car. She wasn't wrong about that last part, but only because my first car was a $500 Craigslist special that leaked oil like a sieve. I stood there, staring at this monster of a couch, listening to Janet list off every possible way I could ruin it, and something in me just snapped. 6 hours of driving, 4 hours of moving, and approximately 47,000 criticisms had worn down my last nerve. I turned to Janet and opened my mouth, ready to say exactly what I thought about her precious couch, her constant criticism, and her mysteriously absent son. That's when Emma shot me the look. You know, the one, the don't you dare make a scene look that wives have perfected since the dawn of time. But here's the thing about being pushed too far. Sometimes you just can't help but push back. Moving that couch was like trying to wrestle a sedated elephant through a dollhouse. I was at the bottom, taking most of the weight, while Emma guided from the top. Janet, naturally, provided her expert commentary from a safe distance. Watch the walls. That's fresh paint. The walls were beige. Everything in that building was beige. Even the beige looked beige. Emma, sweetie, is he gripping it right? It looks like he's gripping it wrong. Let me tell you something about gripping. I was gripping onto my sanity by a thread at this point. By the time we hit the second floor landing, my arms were shaking, sweat was dripping into my eyes, and Janet had moved on to critiquing my breathing technique. You're panting like a marathon runner. I don't remember Kevin making such a fuss when we moved it in. Yeah, well, Kevin probably had help from someone other than his sister and the ghost of Christmas past offering running commentary. That's when Emma, still behind the couch and probably sensing I was about to lose it, decided to add her own helpful contribution. Honey, if you drop that couch, I swear to God I'm divorcing you. I froze. The couch, this mammoth leather beast that probably cost more than our wedding, seemed to get 10 times heavier in my hands. And then, like the cherry on top of this sundae of misery, Janet chimed in with what she probably thought was encouragement. No pressure, sweetie. Something in my brain just short-circuited. Maybe it was the heat. Maybe it was the exhaustion. Maybe it was Janet's voice saying sweetie for the 800th time that day. But in that moment, looking down those stairs, a thought occurred to me. What if the couch just happened to fall? I looked at the stairs. The couch looked at the stairs. The stairs looked back at both of us. It was like a Mexican standoff, but with furniture. You know what? I said, my voice eerily calm. I don't think this is working out. What do you mean it's not working? Oh, Emma started. And then I let go. I swear to this day that couch moved in slow motion. It was like watching a leather avalanche. First the right side dipped, then the whole thing just went. It bounced once, twice, did a pretty impressive spin, 9.5 from the Russian judge, and landed with a thud that probably registered on seismographs in neighboring states. The silence that followed was deafening. Janet's face went through about 15 different shades of red. Emma's jaw was somewhere near the basement. And me? I just stood there, hands empty, feeling lighter than I had all day. Well, I said into the silence, at least we know it fits down the stairs. I'm pretty sure Janet started speaking in tongues. Emma looked like she was calculating both divorce lawyer fees and my life insurance payout in her head. But you know what? In that moment, watching Janet's precious couch lying there at the bottom of the stairs like a beached whale, I felt something I hadn't felt all day. Peace. Of course, that peace lasted approximately 2.3 seconds before all hell broke loose. Have you ever seen those videos where someone pokes a seemingly calm bear and all hell breaks loose? That's exactly what happened next, except the bear was Janet, and the poker was her precious couch doing its best Olympic gymnastics routine down the stairs. Janet's scream could have shattered windows in the next county. My couch. My beautiful couch. Do you have any idea what you've done? She was literally clutching her pearls. I didn't even know people actually did that in real life. This is assault. You've assaulted my furniture. My Italian furniture. Doors started flying open up and down the hallway. Nothing brings out the neighbors quite like the sound of expensive furniture meeting its maker and a woman having a complete meltdown in the stairwell. I knew it. Janet was on a roll now, pacing back and forth like a prosecutor making their closing argument. I told you, Emma. I told you he wasn't good enough for you. What kind of man throws furniture down the stairs? A barbarian. That's who. First my couch, next it'll be my china cabinet. He probably planned this from the start. Some sort of furniture vendetta. Emma, who had been standing there in shocked silence, finally found her voice. "I can't believe you just did that," she said, her voice ice cold. "I literally just told you not to drop it. And what do? You drop it. On purpose." She pulled out her phone, hands shaking. "I'm calling a divorce lawyer. Right now. I mean it." That's when something in me snapped. Again, but differently this time. All those years of swallowing Janet's criticism, of being the bigger person, of trying to keep the peace, it all came pouring out. "You know what? Go ahead. Call them. Call all of them," I said, throwing my arms wide. The neighbors were getting quite a show now. Mrs. Peterson from 2B was recording everything on her phone, and Mr. Rodriguez from 3A had brought out a bag of popcorn. Because I'd rather be divorced than spend another minute being treated like some sort of furniture-moving, criticism-absorbing punching bag. "How dare you dash," Janet started, but I was just getting warmed up. "No, how dare you? For 3 years, I've put up with your constant criticism. My clothes are wrong, my job is wrong, my breathing is wrong. Apparently, I even sweat wrong. I've driven 6 hours to help you move, carried every heavy thing in your house up 3 flights of stairs, and all I've gotten in return is grief. You want to know why Kevin's not here? Because he's smarter than me, he knew to stay away. Don't you bring Kevin into this." Janet shrieked, but I was on a roll. "Your precious couch isn't the only thing going downhill today. Your whole perfect mother-in-law act is tumbling right after it. You want to know what kind of man throws a couch down the stairs? A man who's been pushed to his breaking point by his mother-in-law's constant psychological warfare." Emma stepped between us, tears streaming down her face. "That's enough. Both of you." "Oh no, it's not enough," I said, my voice oddly calm now. "You want a divorce? Fine. But at least I'll die with my dignity intact instead of being criticized into an early grave by the Martha Stewart of psychological torture over here." The hallway had gone dead silent. Even Mrs. Peterson had lowered her phone. The only sound was the faint crunching of Mr. Rodriguez stress-eating his popcorn. I stood there in that beige hallway, surrounded by strangers who just witnessed the complete implosion of my marriage, and suddenly felt very, very tired. "You know what?" I said, my voice hollow. "Since I'm such a barbarian, why don't you all handle this yourselves? Show me how civilized people move furniture." I gestured at the couch lying at the bottom of the stairs like a fallen soldier. "Have at it." Janet immediately switched from rage to her syrupy sweet neighbor voice. "Oh, Mr. Rodriguez, you look so strong. And Mr. Chin from 4A, would you be a dear? We just need a few capable men to help with this tiny little couch situation." I watched as 5 of Janet's new neighbors gathered around the couch like pallbearers at a funeral. The groaning started immediately, that deep, regretful kind of groaning that men make when they realize they've volunteered for something much harder than they expected. "Careful with the leather," Janet chirped from her safe distance. "It's Italian." That was it. I turned around, walked down the stairs, past the struggling neighbors, past the fallen couch, and straight out to my car. I could hear Emma calling after me, but I didn't look back. My hands were shaking as I put the key in the ignition. 6 hours. 6 hours to get back to Pittsburgh. Plenty of time to think about how my marriage had just been ended by a piece of furniture. Not by cheating, not by financial problems, not by growing apart, but by a couch. A stupid, overpriced, Italian leather couch. I drove home in silence. No radio, no podcasts, just the sound of the road and my own thoughts. Emma would find her way back. She had her phone, her credit cards, and most importantly, her mother. They'd probably spend the whole drive back listing all my faults and planning which divorce lawyer to call first. That was 3 weeks ago. The divorce papers arrived yesterday, delivered by a courier who probably had no idea he was handling the aftermath of the great couch incident of 2025. The official reason cited was irreconcilable differences, which I guess sounds better than husband threw expensive furniture downstairs in fit of rage. Sometimes I sit in my own perfectly normal, non-Italian leather couch and try to pinpoint the exact moment everything went wrong. Was it when I let go of the couch? When Emma threatened divorce? When Janet started her criticism marathon? Or was it years ago, when I first started swallowing my feelings to keep the peace? My brother says I should write a book, How to Lose a Wife in 10 Minutes, a furniture moving story. He thinks it's hilarious. My mom says I should have just hired movers. My friends are divided between those who think I'm a legend and those who think I need therapy. Maybe they're all right. But you want to know the really stupid part? The part that keeps me up at night? That couch probably isn't even really Italian. I looked up the brand later. It's made in North Carolina. A month after the divorce papers arrived, I got a text from Kevin of all people. Yeah, baseball game Kevin, the prodigal son who'd been mysteriously absent during the whole moving fiasco. He wanted to meet for a beer. I almost said no. What could we possibly have to talk about? Hey, sorry I ditched you with my mom's moving day. How's that divorce working out? But curiosity got the better of me, and I agreed to meet him at some sports bar halfway between Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Kevin looked different than I remembered, older, more tired. He ordered 2 beers and got straight to the point. I need to tell you something about that couch, he said, picking at the label on his bottle, and about why I really wasn't there that day. I laughed, but there wasn't any humor in it. Let me guess, the Reds lost that game? There was no baseball game, Kevin said quietly. I made that up because I couldn't face that couch again. Not after what happened the last time I moved it. I stopped with my beer halfway to my mouth. What are you talking about? Kevin leaned forward, lowering his voice like he was about to confess to a crime. Remember when we moved Mom into the old house 5 years ago? That couch was my breaking point too. Except I didn't throw it down the stairs. I dropped it on Dad's antique coffee table. Shattered the whole thing. Mom, she said the exact same thing to Sarah that she said to Emma. If you let him break my furniture, I want you out of this family. The beer suddenly tasted very bitter. Wait, are you saying? Sarah and I split up 2 months later, Kevin said, staring into his bottle. Mom got what she wanted. She never thought Sarah was good enough for me, just like she never thought you were good enough for Emma. The couch wasn't just furniture, it was a test. A loyalty test. And whoever failed it had to go. My mind was racing, replaying every criticism, every backhanded comment, every time Janet had subtly driven a wedge between Emma and me. So when you didn't show up, I was protecting my new relationship, Kevin admitted. Lisa, my girlfriend now, Mom hasn't met her yet. And after what happened with you and Emma, she's not going to. I'm done letting her control my life through guilt and furniture. I sat back, feeling like I'd just been hit by a truck. Does Emma know about this? About Sarah? Kevin shook his head. Mom told everyone Sarah left me for her yoga instructor. It was easier than admitting what really happened. But after I saw history repeating itself with you, I couldn't stay quiet anymore. So that whole moving day, the criticism, the pressure, that damn couch, was Mom's way of getting rid of another person she didn't approve of, Kevin finished. And Emma fell for it, just like I did with Sarah. We were both so trained to choose Mom's side that we couldn't see what she was doing. 2 months after my enlightening beer with Kevin, I was finally starting to feel like myself again. I'd moved to a new apartment, joined a furniture-free yoga class, kidding, and was actually sleeping through the night without having nightmares about Italian leather. That's when Emma's number popped up on my phone. Hello? I answered, wondering if she'd somehow found out about Kevin's revelation. Janet wants her money, Emma said without preamble. Her voice had that familiar stressed tone she always got after too much time with her mother. She says you owe her $8,400 for the couch. She's been keeping the receipt all these years in a special folder labeled Family Heirlooms. I couldn't help it. I started laughing. Not just a chuckle. We're talking full-on, tears in my eyes, might need medical attention laughter. This isn't funny. Emma snapped. She's threatening to take legal action for a North Carolina couch that she claimed was Italian? I managed between gasps. Tell her to go ahead. I'd love to see her explain to a judge how her precious Italian craftsman Giuseppe actually works at a factory in Charlotte. There was a long pause. What are you talking about? Oh, you didn't know? I looked up the brand. That couch has probably never seen Italy unless someone was watching Italian movies on it. But hey, tell Janet her new son-in-law can enjoy its authentic Italian craftsmanship all he wants. What new son-in-law? Come on, Emma. Your mom's already shopping for my replacement. Probably someone who knows the proper breathing technique for furniture moving. Another pause. How did you? Kevin told you about Sarah, didn't he? Bingo. The great couch conspiracy of Janet strikes again. But don't worry, I'm sure your next husband will pass the furniture-moving loyalty test with flying colors. Just make sure he gets his Italian leather certification first. She hung up on me. I felt a little bad about being so sarcastic, but honestly, it was therapeutic. Life has a funny way of working out, though. A week later, I met Rachel at a local furniture store of all places. She was buying a coffee table, and I couldn't help but notice she was measuring it herself instead of trusting the salesperson. A woman after my own heart. That experience with furniture? She asked, catching me watching her triple-check the measurements. You could say that, I replied. Let's just say I have a complicated relationship with couches. We ended up getting coffee, where I told her the whole ridiculous story. Instead of thinking I was crazy, she laughed and shared her own tale of a disastrous encounter with her ex's family involving a priceless vase and an overenthusiastic golden retriever. On our third date, before things got serious, I did something that probably seemed weird but felt necessary. I asked to meet her mother. Not for approval, but for reconnaissance. Rachel thought it was hilarious but went along with it. Carol, Rachel's mom, turned out to be the anti-Janet. When I visited their house, she was using a priceless antique dresser as a TV stand and had a cat-scratching post attached to a 200-year-old grandfather clock. "Life's too short to worry about furniture," she said, offering me a cup of coffee while sitting on a beanbag chair that had definitely seen better days. 6 months later, Rachel moved in with me. We bought all our furniture together, practical, comfortable pieces that wouldn't look out of place in a normal person's home. No Italian leather, no mahogany, and definitely no priceless anything. Kevin comes over sometimes with Lisa. We all laugh about the couch incident now, though Kevin swears Janet still has that receipt folder, probably waiting to ambush the next unsuspecting in-law with a furniture-moving test. As for Emma, last I heard, she's dating some interior designer who specializes in antique furniture restoration. Janet must be in heaven. I just hope the poor guy has good insurance and a strong back. Me? I'm currently sitting on my perfectly average, proudly American-made couch, writing this story on my laptop while Rachel reads beside me, occasionally suggesting edits. She thinks we should start a support group. Survivors of Furniture-Related Relationship Trauma, SFRT for short. The moral of this story? Always check the origin of your furniture, never trust a mother-in-law with a receipt folder, and if someone threatens to divorce you over a couch, let them. Because sometimes losing a marriage means finding yourself, and maybe someone who loves you enough to help you measure coffee tables just to be sure.